Welcome back for another helping of oysters, clams, and cockles. I am your host, Ross Bolen, joined today, as always, by my buddy, Mr. Barrett Dudley, to bring you the best TV shows and movies weekly in an easily digestible podcast packed with laughs. Barrett, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. It's kind of like we're doing the same podcast right now. We're speaking to each other on the same podcast. We're even in the same room.
Yeah.
But in some ways, the distance between us now, I almost feel like I'm watching you do a podcast.
Right?
And you're watching me do a podcast. It's a bit strange, but it's all good. Radio shows, I feel like radio shows, they're generally this far apart anyway. They're a little bit further apart. Somebody's in the booth, somebody's over here, then you got your third wheel, the wild card who's over on the side doing something different.
Fucking hitting buttons, making noises and shit. Yeah.
So, it's good. It's good. It's good to be back in the lab again.
Oh, yeah.
Putting these plaques on the wall, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Barrett and I are back in Permanent Record Studios. We've got a nice, safe 10-foot, Barrett and I are set up in a different way for the sake of the ongoing pandemic. There's a table that Barrett's at, and I'm on another table over here. And if you're watching on youtube.com/BolenMedia, it actually, we're both on the screen. You can see us. If I look left, it looks like I'm looking right at Barrett, but he's actually directly in front of me. And then there's cameras pointed at both. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I was referring to platinum plaques, by the way.
Oh, you want to go plat?
I want to go platinum. Yeah. Nobody goes platinum anymore. I think we should go platinum.
You don't want GOLD. You want PLAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
We got a lot to talk about today, Barrett. We got Dark.
So much. An exciting rundown.
Dark Season 3 up through Episode 4, which takes us halfway through the final season of Netflix's Dark. We are going to talk about Hamilton. I watched the entire production on Disney Plus. As everyone is aware, it is on Disney Plus as of, last week? And Barrett actually saw Hamilton in Chicago live, so I'm very interested to hear his thoughts versus mine, sort of. He actually started the one on Disney Plus as well, so he kind of has a feel for it. I did mark it that we were going to discuss Uncut Gems today. I did not realize Mr. Dudley has not watched Uncut Gems. It is only me, so we're actually going to wait till he gets the opportunity.
Not yet.
Yeah, because we're already so late. We might as well wait.
Right. And I should be able to catch it pretty soon. I've all of the talk that I've heard about it being, such a crazy, tense, anxiety-inducing film.
Not appealing right now necessarily.
I mean, it is and it isn't. That pandemic notwithstanding, that is actually selling me on the movie. That is making me think, oh, that's interesting. That sounds cool. That sounds like a ride. It made me feel
better, man.
You know what I mean?
It made me feel better.
So I appreciate it, and I feel like, although neither of us have seen Good Time, I've heard enough about the other Safdie brothers movie that I kind of know that that's the vibe anyway. That it's like very hectic and frenetic and crazy and kind of intense.
Pretty much nonstop chaos.
Yeah.
Which in the case of Uncut Gems for me actually ended up being like, I was like rooting for him to derail his life, just because the world's a mess and it was a movie. I like seeing the fake people suffer a little bit. But so we'll save Uncut Gems talk for after Barrett has had the opportunity to watch it. It's on Netflix, of course. If you have not caught it yet, go ahead and do that so that when we do discuss it, you'll know what we're talking about. And then finally, we'll be talking Perry Mason through Episode 3, which is of course on HBO. For more OCC every week, y'all know where to go. We do one episode here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. It's ad-based. Typically, we actually don't have an ad today, which is why we're going to talk about patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles, where you can get your second, or in the case of the Crustacean Nation, you get 3 additional ad-free premium episodes of OCC each month for just $5. Or you can pledge whatever you want, actually. But it's just $5 minimum pledge to join the Crustacean Nation on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. Support this show and get more of it. Or you can join the Mollusk Militia for $10 a month and get a 4th additional ad-free premium episode on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles every month that consists entirely of voicemails. The Mollusk Militia gets to drive an entire episode every month with their Mollusk Militia hotline exclusive to them.
That's right. And I've also got I'm in my bag out here with a little extra free time, and I'm working on figuring out some other perks for the Mollusk Militia.
Ooh.
But there's a couple other things that are on the radar coming soon.
That are percolating in your mind?
Yeah, they are percolating in my mind. They are perks that are percolating.
Good.
Which is nice alliteration, and that's how you know that the perks are going to be good.
Exactly.
is when they alliterate like that. But stay tuned. There're going to be some bonus. I think there's going to be a little bit of a bonus material, bonus goods, bonus goodies, bonus perks for the Mollusk Militia. Should we tell the peeps what we're doing on Patreon?
Sure, man.
This month, yeah.
Fucking fire away.
So tomorrow we're gonna break down. June just ended.
It did indeed. We're in July.
That's the 6th month of the year. There are 12 months in a year. Half of 12 is 6. That means we're at the midway point.
50%.
50%.
Indeed.
Yes. So we are going to break down our top 5 shows of the first half of the year. And very, very, loose. We're going to talk about all the. We'll fit in some shows that even didn't quite crack our top 5. I don't even
just to discuss.
I don't even need a 5 through a 1. I just need the ones that are in your top 5.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. So we'll kind of go through everything we've watched so far this year. Pick our 5 favorite things we've seen so far.
Our 5 favorite things. Yes.
Now, do you want to do this in a manner that is relatively spoiler free for the sake of suggesting for people?
I think that we will go largely spoiler-free. Yeah.
So the people who haven't watched some of these things can pick up on
exactly. So that this episode could even potentially serve as a recommendation list for things.
A guide.
We will eventually run into a TV drought. It's not coming yet, but it will eventually get here.
I'm so scared.
And you're gonna need those recs, man.
You're gonna need us.
Yeah, you're gonna need to know what to watch, and that'll be a good jumping off point for you. Also, I know that people kind of tune in and out of the podcast as well when we're covering shows that they're watching versus sometimes when we're not, versus, they go in and out. And occasionally you might miss something that we covered. So listening to this podcast will be like, oh, I didn't realize they had covered that earlier in the year.
Indeed.
So it's just going to be informative and entertaining. And it's just infotainment is what it is.
It is infotainment. Dude, I've had multiple people at this point hit me and be like, yo, I'm finally watching Watchmen or whatever, like stuff from 2019.
Yeah.
And going back and listening to y'all's coverage. And I'm like, oh, that's tight. I hope we did a good job.
Yes. Yeah. Then the following week, we're going to try something new. I'm going to interview you.
I can't wait for this. We're gonna talk media.
I'm going to largely ask you questions that are podcast related.
Sure.
But who knows? I might throw a curveball in there at you as well.
Oh, good.
If you have specific questions related to media, entertainment, TV, film that you think that I should ask Ross, you can tweet them at me. You can tweet those questions at me at Barrett Dudley.
Fuck yes.
Or you can DM me on Instagram at Barrett Dudley.
Feels like this is going to be some kind of inquisition. I'm up against the firing squad.
That's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've already been thinking about the questions that I'm going to ask you, and it's going to be a great episode.
I spend a shitload of time interviewing other people. I don't think anybody's interviewed me since like 2016.
Time to turn the tables.
I'm scared.
Yeah, and then if it goes well, then in a coming month we'll turn the tables once again, and Ross will get to pepper me with a similar inquisition.
I will only yell my questions, just so you're aware, when that day comes.
Week 3, we're going to do a movie club. We are taking recommendations from movie club as well.
What do y'all want to watch? Holler at us. Let us know what you want from movie club this month.
And then, of course, week 4 will be the Mollusk Militia hotline,
where they can call in about anything and everything they want to their Mollusk Militia exclusive number, which is provided on patreon.com/oystersclams. Cockles. Y'all get in there, support the show, especially for episodes like this one where we don't have any advertising backing the show. It is literally you guys directly supporting Oysters, Clams, and Cockles and making sure that Barrett and I can stay in business and bring y'all the infotainment that you so desperately crave every single week. Barrett, do you want to start with Dark?
Let's start with Dark. We're recording a little later than usual. I feel like that my mind gets fuzzy around the 2:30 mark.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I'm going to be totally fresh. We need to do this up front at the beginning of the podcast.
Just get it
over
with,
man.
Before
I've lost the plot completely, and I'm just stumbling over my words and have no idea what is happening. But to start, I have no idea what is happening.
As I mentioned in the car, I finished episode 4, which is The Origin, about 45 minutes ago. And up front, I will tell you, the amount of time in an episode of Dark, when you start a show and you're like, all right, it's a 45-minute episode, and you can kind of line that up in your head with your schedule. Dark episodes that are an hour long take me about an hour and a half to watch.
Okay.
Because I have to rewind or pause and go, what? Like 5 or 6 times per episode.
Sure.
It also routinely It is a show where if you receive a text message and you look down at your phone for 5 seconds,
Yeah, you can't do that.
you're screwed.
Subtitles.
You're screwed. They move so quick in this season between scenes and times. We are now in a situation where we're looking at, I believe, the 1950s, 80s, present, and then 2050s.
Yeah.
All in the same episode
Yes.
with all the same characters.
And now 2 worlds.
And there's a separate world now.
Correct.
With also travelers entering that world.
That's right.
So somewhere around episode 2 is when I went, okay, this is the most confusing season yet. Just in terms of like the scope of everything going on.
Yeah.
I've never been more lost. Mostly because of oldest version of Martha, that we are now getting, is confusing the shit out of me. Here's the other problem with Dark. And my dad and I were talking about this. Every single time somebody reveals something to somebody else, there is a scene immediately following that where the person who revealed that thing to the other person then reveals that they were lying.
Yeah.
There
is a lot of that.
Single scene.
Yeah, yes.
And they're like, Jonas lied to you. Martha lied to you. The guy with the cleft lip lied to you. Everybody's lying to everybody.
That's right.
And everybody is fucking. Who hurt whoever wrote this show? Everyone is cheating on everyone with everyone. Every episode almost starts with people boning.
Uh-huh. A lot of boning down, yeah.
I just don't know what to take anymore.
Okay, well, as far as the plot, and the conversation will obviously be spoiler heavy from here on out.
Oh, yeah, we'll do our best to spoil it. I don't even know if I can.
The big reveal here in The Origin is that, quote-unquote, The Origin is the baby of Jonas and Marta, who is Cleft Lip Man. By the way, that is his most recognizable feature, which they are clearly emphasizing. So I really hope that is not offensive that we're going to call him Cleft Lip Man. But as he clearly states in this episode,
else are we supposed to call him?
He has no name. He was never given one by his parents, and he's got the cleft lip. So that's what we're going with.
And he has it in varying degrees in all three stages of his life, so it makes him very recognizable.
Yes, yeah.
And that dude only rolls with that dude in 3 versions of himself, and
Correct.
Every person they approach, they have to triangulate like velociraptors, a fucking old man, a young kid, and then the medium dude.
Yeah.
Dude, these guys are my nightmare now.
So that is
their son.
That is their son, and he is the Origin. And I believe that what we see him carrying around, this book that he's carrying around with the knot on it,
yes,
is the book that leads to the development of the time travel in the first place. So once again, we're bootstrap paradoxing here, because how did they get the book is what leads to the time travel, which is what leads Marta and Jonas to creating that baby, who then writes the book. So how does that happen? It's like a chicken and an egg.
Yes.
Classic bootstrap paradox scenario where there is no there's still, even though we have what we think is the origin, there still is no discernible start, because the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning.
Which they say over and over
again.
By the way, many people refer to me as Bootstrap Bill.
There are other things happening in this episode and that we've led up to here, which are, it looks like we were correct about this kind of whole Adam and Eve prophecy thing.
Yeah, they're really showing that painting a lot now.
They're showing the painting a lot. I was disappointed after when we meet. Did we already talk about this? We meet oldest Marta in episode 1.
I don't think we did. I don't think we talked about it.
I think at the very end we do.
But I don't know if we talked about her.
Well, I was disappointed because when she introduces herself, she doesn't immediately call herself Eve. We wait until like episode 2 or 3 before she calls herself Ava,
okay.
a.k.a. Eve. So we do have that going on, and then we're looking at this floor, which has all of the
more permanent version.
Yeah,
of the tree.
The family tree there. And we also see this on the wall of like a middle-aged Marta in 2050 in Alt-World.
Yes. But all the versions of that we've ever seen have been like, like Carrie style, putting pieces of paper up on the wall and fucking stringing them together.
There's one officially on the floor.
Like somebody carved this shit in stone.
And they even say some names at the end of the origin. I'm not going to remember all of them, but it's like Yana and Tronte and Claudia and so. Anyways, we are moving towards the thing that there's like 4 people, and then everybody else is just
a copy or a
copy
version or
or
a time
a
traveled
son
other
or
whatever.
something going on there. I mean, for crying out loud, we've got Charlotte, whose daughter is also her mother.
Yeah, that's the one that's just every time there's anything to do with
like
Charlotte.
The deaf girl is Charlotte's mom, but only exists because she was born from the womb of Charlotte. So we're just really, really on these little loops which have no beginning and end and are essentially impossible to explain. It's all quite frazzling. Like you said about this season being the most confusing so far, another thing that you have to remember is that in season 1, and then we slowly move away from this, but in season 1 we're dealing with kind of an A plot,
right?
That's main world, main timeline, present day,
and
we get a lot of that.
And it was mostly what is happening with this fucking town and this power plant.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So we kind of had that. Main story is present day, this town, only one world.
Right.
Then the subplots are like people starting to travel and move around through the time periods and the knots and the portals and all that. Well, now the only thing that's going on is people zapping around in between time zones or time periods and worlds, just willy-nilly. Which I think is, and I think I'm getting the sense that this is on purpose. This feeling of like everybody is constantly traveling, because I think that is kind of illuminating how this is all happening. Essentially, everybody is moving and traveling,
trying to fix
so often, trying to like go back and do this, or go back and see this, or go back and fix this, or go back and stay in this world.
Right.
That they are just like
fucking it all up over and over
and over again, and that's how all these people are born from the same origin.
Right.
Is because they start moving between the time zones and the worlds.
And to be clear, the Marta and Jonas that create the origin, baby, this is the Marta that traveled from another world.
Yes.
She's not our Marta, as they call her, or his Marta.
Yeah.
But then what happens is she's like, well, I feel like it doesn't make a difference, and I've no whatever. They have that connection still, and then they end up having sex, and like 10 minutes later, she's in that room with the dude, with older him, explaining to her the thing they created, and he was the guy that put that inside of her, by the way. This is just an other version of him. That's the origin, and she's like, nah. But question. Okay, so I understand the man with no name, we'll give him that, is their child. What I don't understand is who is giving this man orders. Is it just oldest Marta?
That is what it looks like right now.
Because that's the only person we see all three of them meet with is oldest Marta in that room. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that room with the Adam and Eve painting is the same room that Adam was hanging in seasons 1 and 2. That then the man with no name set on fire.
No, I don't think so.
Different office room.
That's a different room. That's the original Traveler's
power plant
room. But no, that's the Traveler's room.
Oh, okay.
The Sigmundus Est room.
Yeah.
With the hell painting on it. It looked very antique, that one.
Right.
Marta's is all like marble and modern.
Yeah, but it was like almost the same spatial.
Yes. They're supposed to mirror each other for sure.
Okay.
But Marta's is in one world, Adam's is in the other.
That's the ticket. Because as you said last week, what we're getting a ton of here is these reverse rooms and shit.
Yeah.
Where like you'll see the same room and the bed's on the other side, or like the fucking world is flipped.
And like you said, the origin is the baby of Jonas from main world and Marta from alt world. And so this is the Adam and the Eve are kind of fighting each other I think what we're getting towards is that they're each kind of trying to save their world.
Mm. And as they were told in episode 4, you're going to have to pick one.
Because Marta dies in main world.
Right.
And Jonas doesn't exist in alt world. So they're each trying to save their own world.
Yeah.
Even though they can't let each other go.
Have we seen oldest Marta and oldest whatever? Have we seen Adam and Eve together?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No.
That's going to be interesting to find out where they stand, where the oldest versions of them stand against each other or with each other. I don't. It seems they will probably be a face-off rather than a.
I think so.
They don't seem to be on the same fucking team.
No.
Then again, no one does at this point. I'm serious. I can't what the fuck is going on with the mom, the OG mom, who lost whatever the first kid who started us off in season 1?
Yeah, Katerina.
Katerina is now in the other world, going into the police station over and over, demanding answers?
Katerina is in the 80s of Main World.
Okay, so she's still in the 80s Main World. That's where she sees her younger self, threatens her, what eventually becomes her husband's, what's the word?
Mistress.
All that shit. But she keeps going into the police station and demanding it. Anyway, she ends up going and seeing dude who's been locked up for 35 years again or whatever, and she tells him she's going to break him out. I'm still very confused about his role in all this. The guy that's locked up, that's been in that was accused of the murders.
That's Ulrich.
I know, but what's...
Oh, wait, no. Or who are you talking
not
about?
Ulrich.
Helga. Doppler.
Yes.
He's only got one eye in Altworld.
Oh, shit, really? No, dude, the long-haired fucker that looks Neanderthalish.
Yeah, that's Ulrich.
Oh. But he only has one eye in Altworld?
No. Helga Doppler only has one eye in Altworld.
Okay.
The old guy, the TikTok guy.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Tick-tock. Tick.
No, okay. So remember, Ulrich goes back to the 50s.
To try to fix this.
To try to fix it, to kill young Helga.
Because he thinks that will change everything.
Gets stuck there.
Because he gets caught and blamed for stuff.
Hannah comes back on the pretense that she's going to save him, then realizes that Ulrich cares more about his family than he cares about her, and so she
leaves his
ass in the prison, and she goes and gets with Egon Tiedemann.
Damn, you just... The fact that you remembered Egon Tiedemann's name. By the way,
well,
Tiedemann,
he's our 50s main cop guy.
Yes.
That's Tiedemann.
With the very Nazi hair.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was just after World War II, as you and I, Barrett and I brought up in the car. We were like, so were they never tempted to discuss World War II in any way?
Yeah, I think that's why they chose the 50s, is because it was just in the rear view mirror, so they don't have to deal with it.
But Aegon still has the hair of an SS soldier.
Does. Absolutely, and I mean the look, Mm-hmm. There's no escaping it.
No, there isn't.
Okay, so Ulrich gets trapped there. He's in prison, and then the institution.
So it's just that she's trying to free him.
Yeah, and so Katerina now sees old-ass Ulrich in the 80s. Yeah. Yes, in the 80s. And is like, we got to get you out of here.
Yeah, it's definitely the 80s because they keep she wakes up to that fucking 80s song.
Yes, yeah.
I'm trying to remember which song it was. You look like you're lots of fun. It's Billy Idol. Open up your loving arms. Watch out, here I come. And she wakes up and she's like, fuck! Another day!
Yeah.
All these people are so damn miserable. At least Jonas and Marta get laid.
Did you catch? So Hannah goes to the abortion doctor.
Yes. And who is the...
And that is Katerina's mom as a young teenager.
That is sitting in there?
Yeah. Who's about to get an abortion herself. That's Helene Albers.
Is
Katerina's mom.
Is that the young girl we see walk into the room and drop her dress?
No, that's Claudia Tiedemann.
God! Okay, that was confusing.
The boy with Claudia Tiedemann is Tronte, who is Ulrich's dad, who marries Jana, the girl that he gives the snake bracelet to.
Yes.
But then can never quit Claudia and is cheating on her. Claudia is cheating on Jana with Claudia. And his sons are Ulrich and Mads, one of whom goes missing in the 80s.
These fucking people.
It's really, I mean...
Yeah, a lot of this is if just people just kept their dick in their pants.
That too. Maybe that's the real moral of the story, Ross.
It might be. What it's all going to come down to is nobody should ever have sex ever.
Stop cheating on your spouse.
But just
that is the moral of the story.
Just don't reproduce, because you could start a knot that you can't unravel, perhaps. Dude, honestly, I think we were very on track with a lot of our guesses about where this season might go from a big picture standpoint.
Yeah.
But the way they're getting us there, obviously, we never could have even fucking fathomed some of this. It's more so than any other thing I've watched. When I'm enjoying these episodes, I find a lot of the times when I'm pausing, I'm just thinking to myself, all right, in the writer's room, how long did it take them to put together? Because we see the versions of the board of all this stuff, but they had to physically write out this story so that they understood all of it before they could ever make it into the actual, like before they could go film it. That had to have taken an absolute insane amount of time and brain power.
Yeah, several years, I would imagine. They were working on this story. It's not quite George Martin level of like backstory work, but it's a lot. You are putting, this is certainly a show where you have to put together the whole framework of it and the history and the future and the present of all of it before you can really even write the show.
Yeah, because it's so fucking complicated. It's like creating its own history within itself over and over and over and over and then changing it.
I do think, I feel like, honestly, I was half joking, but the sex thing is maybe a piece of the message here about how.
Well, we've seen some sex result in a lot of really bad shit.
Exactly.
3 seasons.
Yeah. But I also do feel like I do feel like it's all about not being able to escape who you are.
And sort of your destiny or whatever.
And your destiny.
Yeah, and they've started to address that a little bit more in this season. That sort of predetermined element of it all.
Right.
And obviously, the more that these people there's like 10 of them running around trying to fix everything, and none of them can.
Yeah.
But, okay, let me ask you this. Next question. Do you think definitively we will see one of these two worlds destroyed? Or do you think they will figure out a way to beat this system, sort of?
I could see them beating the system because Jonas continues to say that that he is looking for a way to reset everything.
Right.
And he seems that's essentially present day Jonas that keeps saying that. And I would say that he's kind of our lead Jonas, right?
Right.
And so I feel like there's something to that, and I can't determine which way it's going to go. Like, is that going to be him beating his head against the wall because none of it is changeable, or does he finally break through and figure out how to stop the cycle, essentially?
It just seems like with so much not that they've given us, it would be a little. I guess I will be a little disappointed if they don't unravel it.
Yeah,
in the end, because we focus so much on that.
Yeah, and I do feel halfway through this season, I think that part is pretty clear. Even though we don't know everything, even though it's really hard to like keep all the pieces in the right place in your mind, we understand at this point. We've seen enough through the 4 episodes with the family trees and the origin and all that we know that everything is interconnected. That all of this is very incestual. That every piece that we're dealing with here was born from another piece, which was born from a piece which comes all the way back to the beginning. The whole beginning is the end is the beginning thing.
Yes.
So I feel like as an audience, we have it very clear halfway through that this is all knotted together in a way that is almost impossible to pull apart.
Right.
So it does feel like for this back half now, can you spend 4 whole episodes just continuing to emphasize that?
I don't think so.
I think you kind of have to try to make a breakthrough, right?
Things have to start unraveling one way or the other, right?
Yeah. But one thing I was just going to add outside of the plot is last week when we just talked about watching Dark, I was saying that I didn't mind watching, kind of a deep, kind of intense, stressful show amid the status of our world right now, because the other stuff that I was watching, the more happier stuff, is more reminiscent of like what we're missing.
Yeah, dude.
But now, halfway through, now this show is starting to get under my skin too because of the time travel element. So it's that, it has caused me more than one like sleepless night, and I don't know if you've ever done this before, either inspired by Dark or not, but I've just been like thinking about the way that memory works and just about like how we perceive linear time in general. And I'll lay in bed and I will try as hard as I can to just like remember periods of my life.
Sure.
Specifically like good fun ones like college and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I close my eyes and I try to like remember memories as vividly as I can. And that's not healthy, Ross. because the world has gone to shit and it will probably never be the same ever again.
I feel you. No,
and that's very tough to wrap your head around and deal with mentally.
In the middle of it, for sure, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Oh my God, we that just saw a report today that it's like 90% of Austin's independent music venues are going to be shut down by October. Will be closed permanently.
90%?
Assuming nothing changes. And so it's like,
fuck.
At the beginning of all this, I was a person saying like, there's no way that this lasts for extended periods of time, because you won't have movie theaters and bars and restaurants and clubs and concerts to go back to if it lasts that long. And now it's just like, yeah, there might not be that stuff to come back to,
right?
Which is just awful.
I will agree with you on this. When I have watched, I guess we'll say normal stories from the normal world, because most movies and TV shows, we don't have anything dealing with what we're looking at now yet. Sure, we will. Plenty of people got to be cranking away on scripts in their fucking houses and apartments right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, it can be a little it's the nostalgia is painful now.
Yeah.
It's not as fun. It's more sad.
Yes.
Because we are all scared that we have lost that version of our world.
Yes.
And
exactly.
you spoke to the unhealthy mental element of it. So I do want to say something real quick. That is not something that is like in a silo. That's I mean, every single person I have spoke to in the past 3 weeks is miserable.
Yeah.
Mentally.
Yeah.
And it's from exactly what you're talking about. We are stuck in this place now where it's becoming very real, that the fear is getting more real, that that we don't know what this looks like in terms of an end or what it'll be afterward.
Right.
And as such, because I've struggled with this type of shit before we had COVID, unfortunately, and it's just like multiplied now to a degree that I'm like, oh God. On my other show, the Ross Bolen podcast, tonight, we're doing only mental health talk for this reason, because I've been in the mental health game for a few years in terms of me trying to help people talk about it, feel it out, get to know it. And I have never seen more people struggling with it than I do right now. So it's something that we're going to focus on tonight on RBP. The Ross Bolen podcast is available wherever you listen to OCC. But also to that point, Dark is just for the same reason I was telling you before the show. I enjoyed Uncut Gems and the chaos of it all right now, because I was like, it's like watching these people go through things that are much worse than me feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh God, at least I'm not Adam Sandler trying to fucking peddle gems to Kevin Garnett, bro. Like, this looks like hell. At least I'm not one of 4 people time traveling 67 times through 3 worlds and 8 different fucking time frames to. Okay, question. Another dark question.
Okay.
In episode 4, we go to the furthest version of the future we've seen from outside. When they go to outside the cave and there's nothing but sand, the forest has been wiped away.
Yeah.
The nuclear holocaust was so long ago that it's literally everything is fucking gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that the same Marta and Jonas that end up boning to create the origin? That are arguing and yelling and running up the sand hill and crying and shit like, oh, the.
Yes, that is alt-world middle-aged Marta. So she's like, they're putting her at like relatively the same age as middle-aged Jonas, or long-haired Jonas, even though Jonas has, present-day Jonas has longish hair too now. But yeah, that's middle-aged Marta from alt-world. Because, and in fact, in this season, right now, we don't have a regular world Marta. She's dead.
Right, she was killed by Adam.
Yes. So
right before
all Martas,
Otherworld Marta showed
all
up.
Martas are alt-world Martas right now.
Okay, that makes it a lot easier for me to kind of process, actually. Final question from my end. When we hit the 1800s and we are with... Okay, is the 1800s the furthest version back? Is that in OG world or alt world?
That's OG world.
And our Jonas that is... I don't know, older Jonas.
Yeah, middle-aged
not
Jonas.
Not yet Adam.
Right.
That is there, is trying to figure out how to...
They are... I believe that they are trapped there currently.
Because they don't have any of the juice.
Because they don't have a time machine there.
And then
nor do they have the matter that they can travel through, like the black gunk stuff.
In the alt-world Marta gives them like some phony gunk or something?
No, I think that's for real. Because later they're talking.
It just turns into little worms or some shit.
Later she wakes up back in the future, in regular world future, and Magnus is sitting there, old Magnus, and he's like, I can't believe we sent you back. It's weird to think about us sending you. We're the ones that sent you back to give us the matter, or to give Jonas the matter, or whatever.
Right.
So it
just didn't seem like it worked when they tried to fire up
No,
the
I
machine.
agree. It was a little confusing because like it forms up and then it kind of
collapsed.
fizzles, and you're like, oh shit, I guess it didn't work. But I think maybe now that they have it, now that they can keep working with it, maybe.
I don't know.
Something like that.
Okay. Yeah. That whole period, man, when the old blind man walks in, and I'm like, fuck yes, this dude looks like he's got some answers. And then by the next episode, he's been choked out by the man with no names, the 3 versions of him. This fool's running around with a damn mafia-style wire choker to off people with. Anyway, I've seen some complaints on Twitter, last dark point here, about this season so far. I think it's for people who are staying about with us, not people who have finished, saying that they're not enjoying it very much because they are so confused. And I would remind you, if you're in that boat, halfway through season 1 or 2 of Dark, you had no clue what was going on, for the most part. Now, it might have felt a little more clear than it does right now, but I also would encourage everybody who's super, super confused to go online and pull and look at some of the trees that they've built out, because there's photos of all the characters with all the names. One of the more striking things to me that I noticed when they showed the stone like badass version of that was how many people have the same last name. There's like 46 Nielsen's on there.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's when it really became clear, like, oh my God, all these people are just intertwining. 5 or 6 of them have just screwed this whole pooch. It's also, I keep getting, like, we never interact with the outside world. It's just Wyndon.
Yes.
It's very isolated, and in that way, I do worry that we have one of these worlds get wiped out in the end, because it's just strange that they've never expanded upon that, taken us anywhere else. And Wyndon feels so closed in by like all these trees and forests and shit. The whole thing's just, they could literally do anything with these next 4 episodes, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, this show tries very hard to be confusing. It is purposely confusing. So it's a valid complaint for the enjoyment of a show. I mean, you're constantly trying to make your brain work to figure out what you're seeing on screen, like what that means
in the grand scheme of the story.
the fact that Hannah is now pregnant with a baby by old Tiedemann. What does that mean, and who is that baby? So we're constantly trying to figure that stuff out. And it's like, oh, when she just gave Helene Albers the St. Christopher necklace and tells her that her name is Katerina, so that's where Helene gets the name Katerina and the St. Christopher necklace, and like that all trickles down. And so you're working, you're working every minute that you're watching this stuff.
It's almost like it's like studying. Like it's like being studying for a final. You're trying to
very
fucking
much
get your brain out.
So that is, yeah. I mean, that's not as easy as just like laying back and watching The Office.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It's a lot.
And so it is a lot, and I think it's just part of the show. I do think that they're kind of basically purposely like putting your brain in a pretzel,
so that then they can make you feel all the dopamine when they undo it.
Yeah.
Well, now we'll see if they get there. The other show I would say that has attempted a similar level of deception, confusion, whatever you want to call it, was Westworld. Westworld did it in a way that felt sort of pointless and insulting in season 2 almost. Like, I was just like, what the fuck is this even? I don't even fucking care. Like, what? I'm invested. It's not like that. I don't feel frustrated in the same way, because I have no reason to doubt these people. They have not failed me with a season thus far. A season of Dark hasn't ended, and I went, fuck, I don't really care about what happens next. Every time a season ends, I'm like, holy shit, what the hell is going to happen here with the end of this story? So with 4 left, I can't wait to find out. I'm gonna have to be really have a lot of self-control to not just binge through all 4 though, because it's And when you binge this, it's easier to understand, dude.
It is. Totally.
Like, I wish I had a week to sit there and watch seasons 1 through 3 all the way through again when this is all said and done, just so I could have a better full picture of everything we've seen.
No, I hear you, but that's why I mean we're taking about 3 weeks here to do it, and I think that's about the right amount of time. Maybe 2 weeks is ideal, but we're really doing it 2 weeks. We had only watched 1 episode right before last week.
That was more of an intro.
It's more of an intro.
This is the meat. Next week's the closer.
Next week we're gonna bang it out. We'll do the final 4 and we'll dissect, man.
We will next week. Technically it'll be episodes 5 through 8 that we discuss, but we'll be discussing the entire season and series as a whole, sort of wrapping our heads around the way they end this thing. And yeah, man, one of the more wild rides I have taken on a television journey. And if you're still one of the, I know you're probably not listening if you're not watching, but if you're one of the people that's getting held back by these freaking subtitles, just put your phone in your bedroom. You don't need the thing right now anyway. Nothing good is coming from your damn phone. Put your phone in your fucking room and watch it in the living room, or put the phone in a room that you're not in, and then just watch the show and focus. I promise you, it is so much more enjoyable. I tried to do episode 1 of this season like a bad boy with my phone doing work. And you just can't watch this show like that. You've got to be dialed in, or you will pause over and over and over and over.
Yep.
Moving on. Disney Plus's next big bomb, really the only one they've had since The Mandalorian, occurred this past week in Hamilton, coming to their platform.
It was really placed at the exact right time too, because I was about to drop my Disney Plus subscription.
I had just seen my most recent charge go through, and I was like, man, I've worked my way through all the old movies now.
Yeah.
Like I literally have. I don't know if I need this anymore. And then Hamilton was on, and I was like, oh, fuck, dude. So as I said up top, Barrett saw Hamilton live in Chicago. Did you see the original cast?
No, original cast was only
in New York,
only on Broadway.
Okay.
And then and that the original cast went maybe 18 months or so before people started getting swapped in and out.
And that was when it was like $30,000 to get, or whatever.
It was insanely priced, yes.
Yeah.
And they opened up a semi-permanent show in Chicago, a second location. And then obviously it's gone on the nationwide traveling tours as well. So I saw it in Chicago. So not technically on Broadway, but at the same level of performance. Like these were top-notch singers and Broadway actors, and it was Top Gun actors.
So I had never seen it. Obviously, the only Broadway
That's
play.
What we should do for Movie Club.
Yeah, that is what we.
Team America,
dude. That might actually be really, really funny right now. Let us know what you think about that idea. I'd never seen it. The only play I'd ever seen on Broadway is Book of Mormon. I'm a huge fan of musicals, as we've talked about before. Both of us are. And this one I was so interested in because I'm a huge hip-hop fan as well. And I fucking hate Lin-Manuel Miranda for his appearances on both Curb Your Enthusiasm and his Dark Materials.
Okay.
Like, I legitimately want to punch the man. So I was real interested to see how this would unfold. I also didn't know a whole lot about Alexander Hamilton, frankly, which is obviously the reason why he did this play, because he's the most untalked about founding father in American history.
That's right.
This was one of the more creatively incredible things I've ever seen. First of all, oh my God, they packed so much information into these damn songs. Rap for that reason is always a lot, because you have, like, if you listen to an Eminem song, you're like, what is he saying? It's happening so fast. Oh my God. But when you're watching a Broadway play and you're trying to soak in story and information and that's happening, you're like, whoa, what the fuck? But okay, the amount of talent rap-wise on the stage, including Lin, is bonkers. Who the hell are all these people?
Yeah, no, I mean, the cast is phenomenal, and the music is what makes this show really hum,
it's next
really
level.
Sing.
That's what makes it next level. Yeah. Because the story's cool. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's like, come on, it's most of American history from that time period sounds about the same. Guys, we're trying to get democracy set up.
Yeah.
Everybody had opposing views about what should be right and what should be wrong, and dudes were going to France to study and come back, and all the ins and outs, and it's the same shit.
Yeah.
If you ever watch like John Adams or any of those, you get the same sort of vibe.
Right.
But the music on top of that is what makes this like one of the cooler things I've ever watched.
So a question for you that I have, I've heard a lot of people, including my dad, was concerned about this. A lot of people I've heard are saying, like, I want to watch it, I'm interested in it, but I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to understand the lyrics. So you watched it once, I'm assuming no subtitles.
Right.
Now, you're a big
rap
listener
fan,
of rap,
I'm
so
used
you're
to
kind of accustomed to like picking up on lyrics like this.
Sure.
But do you feel like you got
I got everything I needed.
Yeah.
You will not hear every word.
Exactly, yeah.
But you will get everything you need just from paying general attention.
And I'll just say, as a consumer of musicals, it doesn't matter with the genre of music. That's just a thing that you deal with musicals. You're never going to pick up every word the first time that you go see it or the first time that you listen to the music. It's just not. It's just impossible to do that.
That's not how it works.
Exactly.
You feel like you need to, but you absolutely aren't expected to.
No, you're not expected to. And it's part of the process. It's one of the reasons why musicals are actually so fun, is because what you do pick up the story, you pick up the meat of it, and the songs worm themselves into your ear, and then you go listen to the music. And as you continue to listen to the music, you basically get to relive the musical.
And pick up more.
Because you're picking up more and more of what they're actually saying and singing. And so it like puts the story together for you in new ways that you may not have caught the first time around. So it's kind of like, it's just like, it keeps on giving to you.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. And so as I've now listened to the Hamilton soundtrack probably a dozen times, like bare minimum.
Yeah.
And so now, and I'm even watching this version on Disney Plus now, like picking up stuff that I still hadn't caught. So it's just like, it's
you made
fantastic.
A good point. That is the... There's two musicals that pop into my head that are the ones that I run the most, and it's Phantom of the Opera and Les Mis. And every time I listen to the soundtracks, I'm essentially reliving the entire story. It's almost like I could just I'm watching the play again in my head. It is one of the best things about these musicals, and because I just finished this yesterday, I haven't gotten the opportunity to go listen to the soundtrack by myself yet, and I'm very much looking forward to it because I've had this stupid opening. I shouldn't say stupid, it's incredible, but the Alexander Hamilton opening song stuck in my head since I started it 3 days ago. It is longer than I forget how long plays are.
Yeah, they are.
They're 2 hours, and there's a little intermission in the thingy. Also, I should note, the dude who plays Lafayette,
David Diggs,
is a rapper, right?
No, but he's an actor.
Okay, is one of them is a rapper, I believe. One of the people that they have in this thing, if I'm not mistaken, David Diggs, by the way, was one of the best things about this original. When you watch it, he's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's excellent. One of the takes that I've kind of seen this week that I've thought was pretty funny and also accurate is that as a stage performer, Lin-Manuel Miranda is actually like only the fourth or fifth or sixth best person up there.
Yeah. He's just a genius for writing.
Yes, but Leslie Odom as Burr is phenomenal. The two that played the Schuyler sisters, incredible. Like the first time that was one of the pieces that really stood out to me watching as far as I've seen on the film version here on Disney Plus versus when I saw it in Chicago is just like the attitude that the Schuyler sisters throw around and like that first when they do the I'm looking for a man at work.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. I mean, she's basically I'm watching her and I'm like, this is Beyonce, man.
The sister the sister he doesn't marry might be the most talented person on the stage.
Yeah.
Her singing, just her entire presence was.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about watching Broadway plays. Everybody's a super freak talent, but you'll see the ones that rise above, and they're not always the main characters. You'll see like smaller roles where you're like, oh my God, who the hell is this person that's ultra talented? Also, it took me probably the first hour and a half before I realized King George was played by Jonathan Groff of Mindhunter.
Yeah.
My other favorite part of this thing is how unbelievably funny the portrayal of King George is.
It's amazing.
And his music, his songs.
When he floats out on a stage for that first rendition of his song,
his face,
it's so good. And we did talk about this back when we were watching Mindhunter because I had this realization. I had one of these realizations about Jonathan Groff, and was like floored. But obviously, I'd seen Hamilton at that point,
right?
And like, but yes. He crushes this role so hard. It's amazing. It's one of the best parts of the musical for sure.
You'll be back as a song is hysterical.
It's so
funny.
I just want to throw this out there, not that we'll have the chance to do it anytime soon, but I can say also that you'll be back. Put it in your pocket for karaoke, because it's an awesome karaoke joint, because you can do a little funny voice, which covers up if you're not a very good singer.
Sure.
And then you just get to be, ridiculous and sassy on stage singing that song, and it's fantastic.
I'll keep that one in my pocket. Man, this was I'm like conflicted now, because after Curb, after his Dark Materials, with no other experience with Lynn and his work, I was just on the hate bus, and now I'm sort of back in the middle where I'm like, oh fuck, I want him to make more stuff, but
he's
also
a polarizing figure.
Like, don't star in it. Just don't star in it.
Yeah,
because you're not that good.
And I will say, watching this musical and watching him as the lead does pull you out slightly.
It does a little. Absolutely.
Because he's done the talk show circuit too many times. We know what this guy is like in real life so well now.
And he's the only aside from Jonathan Groff, obviously, he's the only really recognizable face on the stage for me when I'm watching the original production on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And it does it. And it's also he does it in a way, though. He kind of does these sly acknowledgments to the crowd throughout. Mm-hmm. You'll notice, which is not something I keep in mind when you see a play in person, when you see a production of this degree in person, a Broadway play or a large scale play.
Yeah.
Depending on how close you are to the stage, there's a lot of shit you're missing. I'll give you an example. I watched Phantom of the Opera in Austin, 2-hour production. After the intermission, I realized the Phantom was played by a black man. We were halfway through, Barrett, because I was too far. I couldn't see the detail.
Yeah.
So you're missing a lot of like what Lin-Manuel Miranda does is with these little sly looks and nods. He almost intentionally takes himself out of it to be like, I am sort of your narrator host here.
Right.
But it is a weird vibe.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is locked in, and it is a little. And well, the other characters do that too some. It's just that when he does it, I'm like, you're Lin-Manuel Miranda. And when Lafayette does it, I'm like, oh my God, it's Thomas Jefferson. Or whatever. It's like just a different deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, all in all, I will 1,000% watch this again. It's like, I was talking to somebody yesterday. It was like, I'm putting this in my night rotation for like stuff I'll throw on when I'm getting ready for bed on the TV or whatever.
Sure.
Because it's fun as hell. It's got history to it. It's I will say this. Considering our times, considering the era, the state of our current American culture, race plays a strange role in this Disney Plus version of the play, because you've got black guys playing white guys and vice versa, and it's all over the place in terms of obviously that plays a huge part in American history. So it is something that has sort of been rediscussed this past couple weeks.
Yeah,
from the microscope of like,
is this all okay? It has been pretty phenomenal to see what a few years can do.
Because this is 2015 they dropped
2015 this dropped. And when it dropped, this was a big piece of it was that they had that he had cast this in this colorblind way, and that he had put people of color in all of these roles. And that was part of what made it so interesting and compelling.
And appealing.
And popular and laudable. And this was a classic thing that people were really kind of like pumping up and championing as a piece of its success.
Yeah, very progressive is what it was
right.
labeled as.
And now, only 5 years later, as I'm sure you've seen, there's been a lot of like cancel culture coming for Hamilton's head, basically, because we are now at the point where we're not sure if this was was
it okay?
Was this okay? Was it okay to, a lot of it is that George Washington had slaves, and Alexander Hamilton let slavery let it live, basically. He did probably, we're not sure if he owned any himself, but he was a party to it, basically.
Just for the record, George 1,000% did.
Yeah, Hamilton is the one that
yeah.
There's no evidence that he did, but he also obviously
probably did.
Yeah, and Thomas Jefferson, clearly we know about his past. And so now we're having people of color play these guys who would have had them enslaved, and it's like this whole
That's where it gets very strange.
Weird angle. And I actually think that there were there was one level-headed take that I saw on Twitter from somebody that is...
You saw a level-headed take on Twitter?
I did.
Holy shit.
That is a little biased because she is an acquaintance or a friend of Lin-Manuel Miranda. But it's like, in 2020, do we wish now that like they had been able to work more of like the slavery aspect of our founding fathers into this play, which was supposed to be like a progressive, kind of bastion and retelling of history? Yes. Does that take away from the accomplishment that this play is? No. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's
not fair to do that.
It's not, no. And Lin-Manuel Miranda himself has said that Hamilton is fair game for criticism at this point. And I think that's right. Anything essentially is fair game for criticism. But I get a sense that I mean, right now Twitter is just canceling everything. Yes. Anything it can get its hands on,
people will get out. Yeah.
People will just want to cancel it.
Yes.
I mean, just straight up immediately, no nuance involved, no time for actual, long amounts of thinking.
No research.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a discussion that people can have around this play. Mm-hmm. But this is a brilliant and well done piece of storytelling about a founding father that doesn't get a lot of shine as far as his contributions to the founding of the country. And it's really well done. The music is amazing. And I still think the casting holds up. I like that we tell this story. That's the piece of it that's modern day.
Everybody gets to participate in telling the story.
By casting a super diverse cast, it's kind of saying like, this is America now. And that's how we're seeing it through the lens of America now, and we're telling you the story of a piece of the story of how America was founded.
Yeah, the thing I found myself asking as I was watching in 2020 is, are all of these men who played white men in this play okay with that now, or happy with that decision now? And the other part of this is, much of what you and I were taught in American history from, preschool through 8th grade or whatever, is being re-examined through the lens of, well, wait a minute, how many of these dudes were actually worthy of our praise versus how many of these guys were just assholes that happened to be on the right side of this bitch fit? The bitch fit being, we don't want to pay taxes. So it's really interesting to me where this will land. Long term, right? What will the legacy of Hamilton, as a Broadway play, obviously it will be one of the greatest successes in history, and I don't know that it will lose steam. As a long-term piece of art, I wonder how it reflects, just because so much of that version of America that especially white people have in their heads, the sort of fable of America and like it being this place of liberty and freedom and built with this incredible moral code that no other country achieved, and like all that, what is essentially amounts to a lot of shit in many cases that we were taught, is now being questioned. And it's just I will say it is unfortunate that we have to have that conversation about what amounts to, this is a silly piece of entertainment. Hamilton at the end of the day is a musical for fun and entertainment. But because it addresses that era of American history and the establishment of this country, which is now being flipped upside down on its damn head, it's great timing, Barrett, because you were about to cancel and so was I. Weird timing because we're all looking at it going, well, I don't even know if I like these guys.
Yeah, and I'm gonna the person that I thought gave the most nuanced critique is Tracy Clayton is her name, and just to paraphrase, what she says is, I really like that this conversation is happening. Hamilton the play and the movie were given to us in two different worlds, and our willingness to interrogate things in this way feels like a clear sign of change.
I totally agree with that.
And that's really about all you can say. Look, man, investigate the beginning of any Western civilization, and it's a bunch of white dudes doing fucked up stuff.
Yep. That is not...
So yes, it is smart to look back now with clearer lenses on.
And examine it.
But at the end of the day, that's how the country was founded.
Yes.
And so unless we're just going to tear down the entire country and all go find somewhere else to live, where, by the way, there is nowhere that's just founded perfectly with no instances of awful, awful stuff happening.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's where we'd all live.
That's what makes it so complicated.
But that doesn't exist. So yes, it's smart to look back and interrogate, like she said, and ask these questions and be like, what were the real motivations? How did this all go down? Are these people that deserve, what's the percentage of respect to kind of critique that they deserve? But they did it. They started the country that we now all live in.
Yes. And the thing that you said that really is like what I really grapple with day to day still in this whole situation, and it's like when Colin Kaepernick tweeted on July 4th, basically that he does not almost acknowledge America almost is sort of what I mean. He said something along the lines of, let me just find the damn tweet so I can not misquote Kaepernick here. Fuck it, I can't find it.
It was an Instagram post, wasn't it?
Maybe. Whatever it was, he said he wasn't celebrating, and it was essentially saying, like, America is a lie, and it's founded on all this. Well, the thing that that immediately pops into most people's heads is, well, like, I mean, sure, but, well, then where wasn't? Like, point to the country in the world that at no point used slave labor. Or at no point was a total and utter fucking mess of violence, murder, deception, lying,
colonization, genocide,
and the guys
imperialism,
at the top fucking everybody at the bottom.
Yes.
All of that stuff is it's human behavior. It's not American behavior. It's human behavior, and it's a human issue. So when you point it directly at the country, that's when it starts to get weird, because it's like, bro, what? Like, okay, well, are we just like, what is your point almost? Like, you know what I mean? And that's where there is so much tension between what we'll call the left and the right over that sort of issue. That is a big part of it. And the gap between black people who never felt that sense of pride or acknowledged the things that a lot of white people did and were drunken with and we totally soaked in. So it's just like, there's so much conflicting thought there, and Hamilton just sort of perfectly encapsulates some of that shit when you watch it right now in 2020.
Yeah.
All in all, this fucking thing rules. It was awesome. Really I will almost definitely watch it again within the month. Do you want to do Perry Mason now?
We can. Yeah.
All right, we're through episode 3.
I mean, I don't have a bunch of new takes.
I'm not going to have a ton of shit to say here. This is going to be short. Essentially, episode 3 was the preacher lady having a seizure. Perry finally gets the teeth from the black cop who's being influenced by the two bad white cops.
Yep.
Finally gets those teeth. That's why he was fucking with that dude's face for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but you and I were like, why the hell did we have to get 5 minutes of him zoomed in poking in this dude's damn mouth?
I knew what that was leading towards.
Oh, I didn't
because
that.
Of the. Yeah. No, I just.
This is why I'm on a tea break.
I still was like, why did they have to show anyway? 5 minutes of that? My question was.
Okay. Why so much?
That was a lot of lingering on a very, very graphic and gory.
Scene. I think they lingered for morons like me who didn't get it.
Yes, they did. It was they definitely purposely showed him like messing around with the mouth, being like, "What's going on here?" Yeah, and then so obviously at the end of this episode, he puts the teeth in, and asks the question, who killed you or whatever. We're still trying to figure out if the wife was directly educated on what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Whose fault is this? My favorite character has still ended up being the damn old lawyer, who seems to be going partially senile or something now? He is slowly crumbling, yes, which is giving a lot of excellent nuance to this character. It's kind of sad to watch. Jonathan Lithgow, all-time GOAT, one of the best of all time. Crushing this role. He's 74. Yeah, that does. I mean, he's also 6'4", fucking huge. I thought about John Lithgow's age during this episode. I wondered. I was like, man, I wonder if they're aging him up a bunch or if John Lithgow has just gotten old.
Well, imagine being 74 and they're like, all right, and your character, he's at the age where you're slowly slipping into insanity and starting to forget things. And he's like, I can relate. Just feels like that would be a strange conversation.
But I also really like the relationship between Perry and Lupe. It's like kind of not, it's not one that you'd think, it's not like a classic
love story,
sexy relationship that Hollywood usually serves up to you on a platter.
It's more real.
It's just so it's got that. Yeah, it has a way more real feeling to it. I think she is a fantastic actress. Veronica Falcone, I believe. I looked her up.
Veronica Falcone is one fine piece of ace. I know Veronica from experience,
Falcone.
Dude.
So I loved their whole scene at the Lucky Lounge at the casino night. Her kind of like dealing with the fact that he was actually there to work, still enjoying herself, still finding a way for them to have a good time. So I like their little side story. Just a really. This show is hitting for me. I'm very much enjoying. It's a whodunit. It's a mystery with a lot of other really cool stuff added onto it. Basically, a lot of really good minutia and nice pieces of storytelling
and elements of like society in that time period that we're sort of analyzing as well. I mean, I have my only question about episode 3 is we keep getting these shots. Obviously, we've spent a lot of time in the church, and we spent a lot of time with Sister Alice at this point. Or Sister whatever the hell the main sister
Sister
is.
A. Yeah, Sister Alice.
And there's an adoption situation going on at this church, which Perry lingers on.
He does, yes.
And it seems to imply that this church is somehow going to be tied in with some of this evil that's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure I was picking that up correctly.
No,
but
you were picking up what they were putting down.
They were laying it on pretty thick.
But yeah, we don't. I don't know if it's like some type of child trafficking thing or like selling babies or doing whatever. But
we're going to like a baby selling situation.
Something not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now whether
Alice is aware of it.
Yeah, Alice is. She has that line with the mom where she's like, you're just as guilty as I am, or something like that. She basically compares her guilt to the mom's guilt to hers, which is like, well, of course you're not guilty. Like, why would you be guilty? So it's like a little weird. It was a weird
line, yeah. No, there's been some, and she seems to be struggling quite a bit, Sister Alice, with all of the things, I guess. I don't fucking know. She thinks she has like an experience where she collapses in seizures and God speaks to her.
Yeah, I'm wondering, and who's to say like how directly responsible she is? Maybe she's like kind of knows what's going on.
Yeah, maybe she's the one who's going to figure out what's going on. I don't know. But they've given Sister Alice a lot of character power. Like, she seems to be a very important piece of the puzzle here that is, episode by episode, has gotten a ton of screen time and a ton of focus. So I'm just curious to see where the whole church thing ends up. Because so far, first 2 episodes, it was really just like this crazy fun element to show us how wacky church is. Now, in episode 3, it's become like, oh my God, is a damn church involved in this too? Where does it stop? Like, and that's the thing we're sort of starting to unravel here with the police as well and all the different odds and ends. And the shit is nuts. I still stick to what we said last week and what you said last week. It is like True Detective Season 4. It feels better than 2 and 3. And I love the LA noir vibes. It's darks. Both of these shows that we're dissecting at the moment are a little more dark, are a little more serious. But it's not in a way that makes me like upset. It's just like an entertaining thrill ride through this whodunit crazy ass world that I have absolutely no connection to, so it doesn't really fuck with me.
Yeah, this one especially is more of is just kind of more of a ride for me that happens to have some darker motifs and themes, but is just really enjoyable because it's a mystery ride.
Yes, sir. Did you ever watch The Americans?
I've seen the first 2 seasons.
And did you find it to be quite good?
I liked it a lot. It was one of those shows that I basically got so back, we didn't start watching season 1 until they were already on season 5, I think.
And you're just like, oh, this is.
And so we made it through. It's one of the shows that I am absolutely going back to when we hit TV drought.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, similarly, I watched I think 3 or 4 episodes thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's
but I
really,
bounced.
really good. Like,
Yeah.
and Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys, of course, are both phenomenal in it and deserving of all of the accolades that they got for the show.
I think Matthew Rhys, this one sort of falling into his lap with Robert Downey Jr. not working out or whatever, man, this is really going to elevate him.
So this was I actually meant to mention this, so I'm glad you brought up RDJ.
Yeah.
I would say that Robert Downey Jr. is maybe the best, like, sarcastic actor of all time. Right? Like, when you think Robert Downey Jr., you think of kind of like this, like, smirking, wisecracking, like...
Biting lines. Whether it's as Sherlock or as fucking Iron Man, it's the same dude.
It's this, right? Like, he's just so wry.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
How
would it have worked here?
Unless he was going to go deep into character and, like, try to do something completely different.
Then he's literally done in 20 years.
I don't think is possible for him at this point. I think he plays versions of Robert Downey Jr. now. Like, I'm not sure how this would have worked.
I'm pretty sure that's why they ended up going another... Because they had to have been like, Robert, this isn't you.
Like, there's some moments when, you know, maybe kind of like when he's going back and forth with EB,
where you
I could see where, like,
yes,
okay, this would have made
this
sense
would have worked with
for Robert Downey.
Yeah.
But in a lot of the stuff, like the more... you know, like when he's
serious and dark shit.
Yeah, the serious and dark stuff when he's talking to the mom or when he's trying to track down.
Can't imagine Robert Downey Jr.
When he's trying to track down the beat cop. Like, it works for Matthew Rhys because he's kind of this sorrowful, you know, soul in a way.
He's got that look. Yeah.
That I don't think would have come through with Robert Downey.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is like, I'm on cocaine and I really, really enjoy. Like, that's his general personality. It's like he did so much cocaine in the 80s or whatever that it's like permanent. And I'm with you on that. You do feel these lines. There'll be little lines here and there where you're like, oh, I can see that was definitely that was written with Robert Downey Jr. in mind.
Yeah.
But that's where I want to credit Matthew Rhys as well, because he doesn't just crush the dark side. He does a good job with the funny biting lines and a little sarcasm.
Right, because he's got a little bit of that too. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Perry Mason continues to impress. I thought this was the least productive episode so far, in terms of like carrying me further into the story. I don't feel like I necessarily have a better feel for exactly who was responsible for this. It's the same sort of feeling I had after episode 2. That being said, it was still quite good, and obviously looking forward to covering episode 4 next week right here on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. So next week we will finish out Dark 5 through 8, season 3. Dark finale for the whole damn series. We'll discuss Dark as a whole, probably the majority of the show, and then we'll cover Perry Mason through episode 4, and that will probably do it, because Dark is going to be a lot.
Yeah, and if nothing happens in Perry Mason next week, we may just dedicate the episode to Dark, depending on how much time we need.
Surely they do something.
How much time have we done today?
I think like an hour and 10.
Okay, all right. Then I'll save I'll save some tidbits for next week. They're not pressing time-wise.
Do you have tidbits and such that are not pressing for next week?
I've got tidbits and such that can wait.
It's an exciting tease, Barrett.
Unless you want to take 5 minutes to do a quick one here.
No, I want you to slap and tickle tease people in the face. Tell them they're going to get so many tidbits and such next week.
Okay, I'm going to save 2 of them. I'm going to do one of them now because it's quick.
Here's the slap.
Here's the slap. I've already tickled you, so now I'm going to give you the slap. HBO Max proving to be a real treasure trove of stuff.
Very glad you brought this up.
So I basically forced on a movie that I needed Laura to see because it popped up on HBO Max, bright and shiny. She'd never seen it before. We had to put it on. It's Dumb and Dumber.
Oh my God, she had never seen Dumb and Dumber?
No. And she acted like she did not enjoy the 90 minutes of just pure joy and fun that this movie delivers on.
Comedic genius.
But I kept looking over, and she was smiling and laughing. This movie holds up.
Dumb and Dumber? Yeah, dude.
It is wildly funny still. One of the best comedies of all time.
Oh, easy.
And I just want to say that I think the funniest part of it was about halfway through the movie, she was like, basically had this come to Jesus moment where she was like, oh my God, you quote this movie all the time. And I've never realized, like, I'm picking up so many of the things that, like, now I understand these references that you're making. And so it's just really funny because that's another piece of it is that...
Was one of them Our Pets' Heads Are Falling Off?
Yes.
Yeah.
25 years later, and it's like, it's probably my most... Like, that and Zoolander are probably the 2 movies that I most kind of reference and quote just in daily life.
I do a lot of Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore,
I don't know how many times have we yelled "pills are good" at each other,
dude.
It was just a goof, man.
Thousands, thousands of times. That's actually a really fucking hilarious concept that y'all have been together for years, and there's a bunch of lines from this movie that you use that she probably thought you were just the funniest son of a bitch in the world.
Or just was like, well, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Whose pets' heads are falling off?
Yeah, I've yelled that one a lot lately too.
Yeah.
Just in the street, at no one in particular. Our pets' heads are falling off! Like, come on.
But really, it's still a fun one to go back. I hadn't seen it in several years, especially not straight through like that. I think one of the things that stood out to me this watch, the very beginning, in the apartment scene, when they're in the apartment, it's very much like it's almost like staged like a play. And you can tell how like low budget that piece of the film is. Like it's just really, now it's supposed to be a shitty apartment, so that's part of it. But the way that they have it framed, where it's just like what's in the picture is that old ass couch, and then they're each kind of standing up, cheating out a little bit, but talking to each other.
That's a good point.
It's just really interesting how they, you know, this is probably the 100th time I've seen the movie, so I noticed a few little things like that, but
dude, it's been too long since I watched it.
My God, it's a hysterical film still. So quotable, so good. I'm looking forward to diving more into what HBO Max has to offer me.
Now let me give you some bad news from my end, Barrett. I got on HBO Go yesterday to watch Perry Mason, and I was hit with an alert. And it said HBO Go will be going away whenever, some like 3 days from now or some shit. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, Max is replacing Go.
Well, yes. Barrett, that's problematic for people with Google Fiber who don't have access to fucking HBO Max.
Well, surely they're going, once Max officially replaces Go, they have to have it, right?
Brother, I'm telling you, something has gone horribly wrong. I might be fucked here. I'm going to have to like repurchase HBO through Apple TV and cancel it off my cable or something. Well, I guess I won't be fucked. It'll just be a slightly annoying change. It'll take me 2 minutes.
Okay.
For whatever reason, Google Fiber has not struck a deal with HBO that allows HBO Max to carry. So when I go into HBO Max and it says pick your cable provider, and I'm like, all right, well, it's Google Fiber, and it's like, it then pops up and it's like, sorry, brother, you don't get HBO Max. You're a Google Fiber boy.
That is interesting. Now, I feel like they will work out that deal.
I hope so.
Except for the Google Fiber has essentially abandoned Google Fiber.
It's like I'm on a ship with no captain.
Yeah, yes.
They don't care. They pulled out of like 2 of their main cities. They were like, we're not adding shit.
We're not adding any fiber.
When I called to ask like, hey, are you guys ever getting NBA League Pass? They laugh and they hang up.
Yeah.
Like they don't, it's over. They're just literally collecting. Also, they just keep bumping my bill up. In February, they added a $10 a month sports package. It literally just says sports package. I don't know what it entails to my bill. Barrett, why would I have added a sports package in February? There were no fucking sports. So I checked my bill. I've been charged $10 for the last 4 or 5 months for a sports package. Bro, cable companies are the worst. Yeah. Is the end of the story.
I always wondered, you know, well, it's actually one of my tidbits for next week. I'll tease it again here, but YouTube TV is going up in price, which I want to talk about a little bit next week.
Damn it. Everything.
But I always wondered with like AT&T and Spectrum and whoever else, Time Warner that was providing cable.
Comcast.
It's just like, are they trying to get you to cancel with this shit?
Always. That's their goal. They hate us all. They're just the most poorly run companies on earth.
With the random bump ups and all that type of stuff.
$240 last month.
There's always a way to get, or there always was with the cable companies. I don't know with Google Fiber to get it back down.
You're fucked with Google Fiber.
You
with
basically just threaten to quit.
You just call. Yeah. And you say, I want to cancel my subscription. And they say, 1 second, I'll put you on the phone with my manager.
And then
the manager
like 3
bumps
times.
your bill down.
Yeah. And then eventually like top notch manager bumps your shit down. Yeah.
Google Fiber, that's not how it works at all. You talk to a computer. I think it's just Google. You're speaking to God. Just Google the God, and it tells you to go fuck yourself. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do there because the internet crushes. It's super fast. But I also know, like I said, there's nobody captaining that ship. If it goes out, like it's not going to be like they fix it. I don't know. Anyway, HBO Max is officially near the top of the list of worries in my life, how I'm going to gain access to it, especially because my mom similarly told me like there is so much good shit on there.
Yeah.
That it's just packed to the brim. And now that I know that it has Dumb and Dumber, I must have it. Anyway, we'll be back next week. Barrett has hit you with his slap. We've already given you some tickle tidbits and such with Barrett next week. Perry Mason, episode 4. And then, of course, the big chunk of the show will be closing out Dark Season 3, discussing the finale and the series as a whole from Netflix. That will do it for today's episode of OCC. Huge thanks to all of you who are supporting on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles in either the Crustacean Nation or the Mollusk Militia to get 3 or 4 additional episodes, ad-free, premium OCC on Patreon each and every month. Patreon, patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram at oysters, clams, cockles. We're on Twitter at Clams and Cockles. We're on Facebook.com/oysters, clams, cockles. You can follow me, Ross Bolen, on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at WR and listen to the Ross Bolen podcast, where, as I mentioned earlier, we are doing an entire episode dedicated to mental health this evening. Should be out late Wednesday night. And Mr. Barrett Dudley, where can we follow you and hear more of your voice?
Follow me, Twitter, Instagram, at Barrett Dudley. Once again, you can start hitting me up in the DMs and the mentions. Not about Dark, please and thank you, but about stuff you think that I should ask Ross for our interview in 2 weeks.
Hit me.
And
give me the hard-hitting questions.
And movies that you think would be good for us to do on Movie Club. Twitter, Instagram, at Barrett Dudley.
Yeah, and tell us how much you do or don't want to do Team America World Police. Love y'all. Thank you so much for the support. Until our next helping. Adios, muchachos.